Hello, and welcome to Back Through the Lens, where two film school friends talk about movies through the haze of nostalgia. The good, the bad, and the ones that aren't quite how we remember them. I'm your host, Rachel, and with me is my co-host, Joe. Today's movie is FernGully, The Last Rainforest.
It's summer break in the early 90s, and sometimes we just had enough of playing outside in the heat. When it was time to take a break inside, we made sure to have a pile of our favorite VHS tapes to pass the time, and they were usually animated features.
Yeah, it's funny. I thought about that a lot while I was watching this, actually, that because I watched FernGully all the time at home. Like, we owned it on VHS. I would watch it over and over and over. And I feel like at that age, my exposure to movies was Disney. And then I guess any other random animated movies that were not exactly Disney, like FernGully.
Yeah, Disney adjacent, I guess.
hmm
There were quite a bit of non-Disney movies that I realized I watched. I didn't know that at the time, obviously. I guess, as a kid, I just thought everything that was not live action was Disney.
Oh, yeah.
What do I know? Turns out a lot of it was Don Bluth, and I'm looking forward to doing one of those episodes in the future. This one was
Yeah.
neither.
I did not realize what an outlier exactly FernGully was until researching this episode. So, yeah. But I ended up rewatching this with my son, who had never seen this. I was explaining to him that this was one of those movies I watched all the time as a kid, younger than his age now. But
Yeah,
I feel like there's this age range where, as a child, where you only watch animated movies
yeah.
and like anything that's not animated feels too adult or something. And I feel like that's still where I was when I got my copy of FernGully.
Yeah, early 90s, 92. Yeah.
I was like
Yeah,
7.
that checks out.
I was trying to explain to my son that when he was 4-ish and would just rewatch Frozen and Frozen 2
Mhm.
constantly, that was like me with this movie.
Yeah, I don't know what it was about this movie. I watched a lot too with my little sister. It was like that and like the early 90s Disney movies, Aladdin and The Little Mermaid, stuff like that, over and over again, which I guess makes sense because, I mean, I guess your son could watch Frozen on repeat, probably on streaming, but I was going to say we didn't
Mhm.
have streaming, so we had to watch the same 5 VHS tapes over and over again.
Yeah, I'm sure part of the reason I watch it so much was simply because we owned it.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So our movie today is FernGully, The Last Rainforest, directed by Bill Croyer, released April 10th, 1992, rated G, based on the FernGully stories by Diana Young.
FernGully is a magical section of the rainforest where a community of fairies live. One of these fairies, Krista, is learning the ways of the rainforest and the magic to help things grow. Meanwhile, a group of humans are deforesting nearby and cut down a tree which has an ancient evil trapped. Now free, Hexus, who thrives on toxins and the destruction of nature, wants to destroy FernGully. It's up to Krista, her community, and a shrunken human named Zach to put a stop to the evil Hexus.
So both of us have already mentioned we watched this a lot when we were kids. Definitely a movie we grew up with.
Mm-hmm. Question for you. When was the last time you watched this movie?
I had not seen it in a really long time. I don't know if I've watched it since I was a kid. There was a lot going into it that I didn't remember. Like, when I sat down to watch it with my son, he's like, "What's it about?" I'm like, "Oh, this fairy is trying to save the rainforest." And he's like, "Okay, but," and he was asking me more specific questions, and I was like, "I don't really remember."
Yeah.
I will say Hexus was a lot creepier than I remembered.
I remember Hexus a lot. I always thought he was cool. I like the
hmm
animation and it changes through the movie, like just for his character specifically.
hmm
I remembered Batty. Kind of remember like the general feel of it, but there were a lot of like major details. I was like, oh yeah, that happened. I don't remember that.
hmm
I mean, I did when I rewatched it, I should say, because I haven't watched it since I was probably a little kid as well. It just, if someone asked me, like your son asked you, I would be able to go plot point to plot point. It's the genie, and he's a bat, and then there's a little guy, and then it's a smoke guy who's Tim Curry, and that's really all I got.
Yeah. I actually forgot about Tim Curry being the bad guy because I know. But
Oh,
I feel
goodness.
like you can tell Batty is Robin Williams. I feel like with Hexus, it doesn't always sound like the Tim Curry from Clue or whatever.
That's fair, especially when he's just a little gooey, blobby guy.
Yeah, they play with his voice more, in my
Mhm.
defense.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad you're going with me on this. Okay. So, Wayne Young, our producer, his wife, Diana Young, started telling their kids bedtime stories that basically turned into FernGully, the movie. I am a little confused about whether I don't think these were actual published stories. And I say that because she's credited as writing these FernGully stories, like, we said when we introduced the movie. I went on Goodreads and other sites like that to try to look her up as an author, and the only book that comes up for FernGully was published the same year the movie was released. So I feel like maybe these were stories she created, but she wasn't necessarily a published author.
Yeah, that was what I found, and I'm glad you had the same issue because I felt like I was going in circles and losing my mind.
The confusion, I think, is because of how she's credited,
Yeah.
as it sounds like she wrote a book first and then it got turned into a movie, but I can't find evidence of that exactly.
Right. I found that she is credited as the author of the novelization of the movie,
Mhm.
but the movie was based on the story she told, I guess, to her kids. So,
Yeah, well, it made me think of when we talked about Hocus Pocus. It all started as a bedtime story that the I think the writer would tell his kids, but it's not like he was credited as based on the story.
right, he just wrote it
So,
down.
yeah. But that being said, Diana and Wayne were a married couple raising a few kids in the Byron Bay area of Australia. They I don't know if you would call them necessarily environmentalists the way that we think of that word, but they live in this area that is surrounded by rainforest. I actually looked it up on Google Maps, and there's basically
Nice.
this little bit that is Byron Bay, and then it's just surrounded by national parks and rainforests. And they were a fairly outdoorsy family just because of where they lived. So this all rolled into these stories Diana came up with. From what I read, Wayne was very clear that it was all real animals, real plant life. The only made up thing were the fairies. Because he said something like, the real rainforest is magical enough. It's like, okay.
Okay. All right.
But it sounds like they were planning to turn this into a movie or trying to turn this into a movie for about 15 years, just as long as she had created these stories. They were like, this would be a great idea for a movie. Wayne Young said that part of why it took so long was that environmentalism wasn't exactly popular until the 80s. He listed a bunch of different celebrities that did different environmental campaigns, Earth Day related campaigns, something about Tom Cruise doing some like everyone go plant a tree kind of initiative. He also mentioned that animation films were not drawing an audience, or at least a reliable audience, until 1989 when The Little Mermaid came out and showed that animation could be profitable again. And from what I remember, this is about the start of the Disney Renaissance.
Yeah, you're right, though. That is the start of the Disney Renaissance. In the 80s, they had a bit of a slump where they weren't making any box office hits. And I would imagine that if Disney is not making money doing animated films,
Yeah,
other people who are attempting to make something about a rainforest movie might not have success either.
yeah. I also think it's so funny personally that there was a lot of pushback about this environmental message in FernGully, and we'll see it more when we talk about the critical response. But I wanted to bring this up with you. I feel like this was never odd to me as a kid. It never necessarily stood out. And the only thing I can think of is because I grew up watching Captain Planet. It just wasn't weird to me to be like, save the trees, save the rainforest. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's just always something that was around.
Yeah, I didn't even think about Captain Planet. I used to watch Captain Planet as well.
Hmm.
Even watching Captain Planet, like there is, I feel like more of a message there, but I was just watching a cartoon and I don't know, I watch different cartoons for different reasons, just mostly entertainment purposes, especially when you're a child. You're not thinking the political reasonings of the cartoon, I
Hmm.
suppose. But yeah, I didn't think anything was weird. It's like, yeah, maybe we should cut down every tree. I don't know. I'm 8. What do I know?
Yeah. I mean, I try to think of what my son's been exposed to because he watches a lot of wild kratts and shows that are about nature and animals, and they talk a lot about conservation, especially in wild kratts. He reads the Fun Jungle series, and that author talks a lot about conservation, poaching, habitat destruction. There's always a note at the end of one of the Fun Jungle books about the real world issues that he based that story on. So I feel like my son has always had this
Yeah,
kind of viewpoint in his life, but also we're at more of a crisis point with a lot of things too. So it's more discussed. But
that
I
make
still don't feel like FernGully was ever I don't feel like FernGully ever felt like an outlier to me.
yeah, I would agree that I never felt that way also. I really liked Batty
Yeah.
because, Robin Williams. And I mean, I like Texas because I don't know if I knew who Tim Curry was. Like, officially, I might have recognized the voice as a kid. Thought he sounded cool. And like I said earlier, he always
Mhm.
looked cool in the movie. And those are the two draws for me. And yeah, it's a positive message. Don't cut down the rainforest and kill all the animals. But I never like
Yeah.
turned off the movie and was like, Mom, we have to have a talk.
Or like, I don't wanna watch that preachy movie anymore.
Yeah, I guess there's that too. No, I never thought that way.
Mom, we
Like,
have to talk about the trees. Yeah. Meanwhile, my son has planted a pollinator garden in the backyard because the Crap Brothers told him to. Okay, so all these things had to converge. Environmentalism had to become popular. Animation had to become popular again. Also, good for Wayne Young. He ended up producing the movie Crocodile Dundee. I think it was
hmm,
1986. So that was a big hit. And he was able to go out to Hollywood and take meetings with studios. However, he still had this issue where Disney wasn't interested in FernGully. And according to Wayne Young, there were no big animation studios outside of Disney really doing a lot of work. And if they were going to put something out, they wanted something that was more in house instead of this outside screenwriter coming in and pitching to them. I would also like to point out that during all of this, Diana Young, who, created the story of FernGully in the first place, she is not in any interviews that I found. She's never quoted. I could find extremely little about her other than she was married to Wayne Young, who was the producer. And
that's
I don't know if
hmm.
she was just like created this thing and then retreated from society.
Maybe she lives in the rainforest.
You know what? Maybe. I wanted to note too that by the time the movie came out, they were divorced.
Hmm.
So I don't know if that has anything to do with it too.
I'm gonna guess yes. I'm gonna
Yeah.
guess that she lost the rights in the divorce. I don't know how, but that's what it seems like.
I mean, that could be some of it too. He does point out in every interview that his ex wife, the mother of his children, started this as bedtime stories she would tell their kids. So it's not like he doesn't give her credit. It's just odd that she's like nowhere.
Hmm.
There's always just a sentence being like, "Yeah, Diana came up with these stories when my kids were little." That's it.
That's it.
Yep. Okay. So they got around this problem by somehow meeting director Bill Croyer. He and his wife had started Croyer Films, their own production company. FernGully was going to be their first movie. Not sure if they started it so they could make FernGully or which way that went, but he was a former animator at Disney. They hired 40 animators to work on FernGully. They took them on a 7-week trip to the Australian rainforest because they wanted the animators to see all the plant and animals, like, in person, and there was that quote again where they were like, "The real rainforest is magical just as it is, so don't create any other creatures except for the fairies."
I mean, do we need anything else besides fairies that are not like there?
I mean,
I don't know if
yeah,
I want to say like, oh, it's so magical. I also don't want to not say that, but there are a lot of fascinating plant life and animal life in the rainforest that probably
definitely.
when we were 8 never saw. So, like the lizard was like, whoa, is that his real colors? Because that's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So Bill Croyer, having worked at Disney, I think he kind of poached some people from Disney, and Jeffrey Katzenberg was the head of Disney Animation at the time, and he ended up with a vendetta against FernGully, which I wish I could have learned more, but this is a little bit of information I have. Jim Cox, who worked on the screenplay for FernGully, he had worked at Disney as well. He had written the first 2 treatments for what would eventually become Beauty and the Beast. This is our producer, Wayne Young. Jim took me on a tour at Disney with someone else's name on my tag and pointed out the young guns to hire for FernGully. Katzenberg wasn't happy when he found out, which, like, kind of fair. He was behind all the aggravation that Disney caused us. Twice we rented facilities and they gazumped us by paying more. When we found space in the brewery, which they were like converting an old brewery to a studio, Disney tried to buy it. One day, Katzenberg and 8 or so others marched through to inspect the premises. We scrambled to cover everything up. But it was also really about Robin.
Uh oh.
Yes. So they have pissed off Disney. At this point, Robin Williams was all set to voice Batty, which he does. He was also set to voice the genie in Aladdin, which obviously was being made by Disney.
Mm-hmm.
Batty ended up being Robin Williams' first animation role. It was originally supposed to be an 8-minute part, but Robin Williams gave them 14 hours of improvised lines,
Oh my god.
which I'm not surprised at.
Oh my god. It was probably
Uh,
one take too.
yeah, you're just there all day.
The sound recorder's like, Robin, you can go home now. Robin, all right, I'm taking a break. Just keep going. I'll be back.
Exactly. Jeffrey Katzenberg, head of Disney, tried to get Robin Williams to drop out of FernGully because he was unhappy that Robin Williams would have 2 animated roles coming out at the same time.
How dare you, sir? Have a career.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. It was like, I don't know, because he was big, but I think from what the producer and the director of FernGully said, he was still able to do open mic nights and stand up without being mobbed. He had done Good Morning Vietnam at this point, but he
Hmm.
wasn't, I don't think he was quite so huge yet.
I feel like just Disney keeping things in their pocket like Disney does. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like Disney is just always such a bully, and recent events have not really changed my opinion on that. And then we
Right.
get into stuff like this that's decades ago, and it's like, "Oh, they've just always been like this." So,
Can't have two movies coming out at the same time. Sir, do you not heard any of our podcasts? Steven Spielberg does this all the time.
that's why it doesn't work with Disney.
Mm, well, yeah, that's another episode, but
Yep.
moving on.
Moving on. Wayne Young, our producer, said that Robin Williams was completely pissed off by this, saying, "It's my voice, you can't stop me." And also that he apparently felt very strongly about the environmentalism message of FernGully, so he did not want to drop out of this role. I guess Jeffrey Katzenberg just accepted it because obviously he did both movies.
Yeah, I feel like if I'm correct here, they hired him first, right? The FernGully people?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Mhm,
So he could have easily pissed off Robin Williams enough to where he didn't want to be Genie. So yeah, tread lightly there.
mhm. Just one other Disney connection I found, Kathy Zielinski, who created Hexus. She was the supervising animator for Ursula in The Little Mermaid, so they really were poaching those Disney people.
I can kind of see that too, though, the
Mhm.
fluidity of their movements.
Yep. That's exactly what I thought when I read that. Apparently, the entire voice cast agreed to work for scale wages because they thought the message of FernGully was very important, didn't want to balloon the budget. To be fair, I'm trying to think of like everyone's level of fame at this point. Obviously, Tim Curry and Robin Williams were well known. But like we just said, Robin Williams was still kind of at the beginning of his movie career. Was Christian Slater really big?
Heather's would have had to have been soon.
Oh, yeah, Heathers would have come out already.
Yeah, it was late
Okay, you're
'80s,
right.
correct?
Yeah,
But
pretty sure.
that doesn't mean he was big.
Right. Yeah, I
He
get
was always
that.
just kind of Christian Slater level Christian Slater. I don't know how else to describe that. But feel like he never had a huge break. He was just kind of
Always there.
flash in the pan for a little while, I guess.
Well, I always think of the line from Clueless where they talk about going to see the new Christian Slater movie.
Mm,
Maybe he was teen famous.
which would have been before us being of the age to notice that, I guess.
Yeah. Also, maybe because I was a kid, I don't think I realized that Cheech and Chong were in FernGully.
Absolutely not.
No. They are two of those,
The Beetle
I guess,
Boys.
henchmen, yeah, that work with Pip a lot. They hadn't worked together in 6 years when they got together to do FernGully. Cheech had a quote saying, "It was just like old times, but we only worked for 2 or 3 hours, had a pizza, and split."
Okay.
I mean, they don't have the biggest roles, so
Right, yeah. When watching it this time around, I still couldn't tell you that was Cheech and Chong if I didn't know it because they barely
yeah,
speak, and I'm pretty sure they're not speaking as one would think of when they heard, "Oh, Cheech and Chong are in a movie." They don't sound like they're stoner roles from their Cheech and Chong movies. They're just kind of
exactly.
slightly changing their voices to be a weird Beatle character.
Yeah, I realized it was them at some point while watching the movie because I was looking up other voice actors and I was like, "Cheech and Chong are in this?" And then when
Mhm.
they came on screen, I was trying to see if I could recognize it as their voices, and I couldn't really.
No, the bigger guy, I believe, is Chong, and he talks the most out of all the Beatle guys. And I think you can, if you're listening closely, you can kind of
Mhm.
tell because he's got that deeper voice, but he's not doing that slow stoner thing he's known for.
Right, yeah. I think when I picture Cheech and Chong, I didn't they guest star in that '70s show? Like, I think I was too young for the
Chong
heyday of
did.
Cheech and Chong. Okay.
Yeah, Chong was a regular on the show.
Yeah, that's what I picture for the most part. But yeah, that's really all the pre-production stuff that I found. There's not a lot of info out there. I personally would have loved to have heard more about Disney kind of using gangster tactics to try to get their studio shut down.
Like Thomas Edison.
Yeah. Yes. Uh, yeah. So that brings us to our movie. The opening looks fine. It
Yeah.
does not look dated at all to me.
No, it's, I guess, one of the beauties of animation. It's
Yeah.
there and it changing, like, it's great. I
Mhm.
thought it was great. It even had a little bit of movement in the animation in the animated title font, a little flower that blooms in the corner.
Oh, yeah. Like you said, we just get that title card that does not scream 1992 necessarily, and we
No.
go right into the story that I think it's Krista's grandma is telling about how humans and fairies used to work together in the rainforest, and then humans went extinct.
Yeah. Is she Chris's grandmother? That was never clear to me. when I was a kid, I definitely thought that because
Oh, yeah,
like
maybe
you're
I
a
just
kid.
assumed.
Well, it's the Maggie character, but I just didn't
Mhm.
know if Maggie was actually her grandmother or not.
Wait, isn't magi, like, a title?
Yeah, everyone calls her that. Yeah, I don't think Chris ever calls her grandma. So as an adult, I'm like, am I assuming right as a kid? Because as a kid, you see a young girl talking to an older woman and they have a relationship. You're like, oh, that must be grandma.
Yeah, it's entirely possible that I just assumed this as a kid and never actually changed my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I did as well. I also thought this was
Okay.
grandma. I just, as an adult, overthinking and like, well, we don't know because she calls the older guy her dad. It's like father or whatever, and like that's very
Well,
clear.
right.
But he never goes up to Maggie and be like, hey, what's up, mom? So,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
and none of this
that's
is
fair.
important, so we can move on.
Yeah, none of it's important.
It's her grandma. F it.
Sure. I will say, though, I always liked her pink layered dress that she wears, and if you were a girl in my age range, you might remember those, like, cupcake dolls that they would be a cupcake,
Oh,
okay?
yes.
And then you could flip down the basically the liner of
Yeah.
the cupcake, and it was their skirt, and, like, it had a doll top with the cupcake liner skirt, and I think they smelled fruity. That's what this woman's dress always made me think of.
I like this beginning, which I did forget about.
Mhm.
And I like that the animation style is kind of chalkier, a little rough, because she's telling the story of this ancient past.
It's
And
kinda like cave drawings.
yeah,
Is that
yeah,
you're
that's a good
talking
way to
about
put
that
it.
part, right? Mhm.
Yeah, the very beginning. I totally forgot about it because I'm thinking, putting it in the pseudo Disney style of these characters, and then you get this right away, like, oh, this is different.
Okay, immediately, though, all I could think of is that Krista looked like Fairuza Balk to me, with the big eyes and the big lips.
I could see it. I could see it. I mean, not quite exactly, but yeah.
However, I looked up the actress, and it definitely looks like the voice actress.
Yeah, I forget her name. I
It
definitely
was
didn't know it as a kid, that's for sure.
Samantha Mathis. Apparently, she was the princess in the Mario movie, like the John Leguizamo Mario movie. It
Oh,
wasn't
yeah.
Princess Peach. She was a
Oh,
different princess, but she was that
having Vietnam
character.
flashbacks. Oh, God. Yeah, I totally remember that now. Oh, why'd you do this to me?
Sorry. I also learned that she was dating River Phoenix when he died. She was actually there with him when
Oh,
he had his medical episode in the Viper Room or outside the Viper Room, which was funny only because I swear there was another actress we talked about recently that was his longtime girlfriend, and I think it was maybe the blonde girl from St. Elmo's Fire?
I thought it was the one girl from the Goonies.
Oh, that sounds right too. Well, but they were both blonde, though, both
Yeah,
of
yeah,
those
yeah.
women that I'm thinking of. No, you're right. I think it was the older girl from the Goonies who was not the romantic interest.
Yes.
Okay. But, like, she broke up with him because of his drug use.
Yes.
And then Samantha Mathis was his next girlfriend.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know. I was trying to figure out if she was, like, famous at this point, if there was a reason they cast her, because, again, we mentioned some of these voice actors were already well known. Not that I could see, to be fair.
No. I mean, maybe her, Mario Brothers movie fame.
Didn't that
Uh,
come out after?
oh, yeah, it would have been well, I don't know how you knew all that. I thought I was being the cool kid when I realized, because I did not know this as a kid, that Samantha Mathis was Krista and Christian Slater was Pips. But knowing that now, watching this movie, I was like, "Oh, it's funny to me because both these actors are in the movie Broken Arrow." Like, happens later in the, like, late '90s, a little John Travolta action movie.
Huh. I have not seen that.
Mm. It's a
I've heard of
late
it.
'90s action movie. I remember liking it at that age. It probably will hold up to a certain point. It's, might have to add that to the docket.
That is kind of a fun connection, though. It's Samantha Mathis and Christian Slater are both in it?
Yeah.
Huh, okay. Okay, yes, and then my next note is I absolutely forgot about Pips being Christian Slater, and that and that he also looks like Christian Slater.
He does a little bit, yeah. Watching it now and the first show Krista for the first time, I was like, "Hmm, this looks like a lot of girls in my high school." The short pixie haircut and just
Yeah.
it just definitely was a style.
That short hairstyle was definitely a thing, because
Mhm.
I remember in high school wanting to chop all my hair off because the pixie cuts were in.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I didn't do it until junior year. I think part of it was Drew Barrymore's fault. Well, she had really short hair in The Wedding Singer, and then I think
Yeah.
it's a couple other movies that came out at that time, and she always just put a headband in her hair, and it looked so effortless, and surprise, when you have really short hair, you actually have to, in at least for me, spend more time styling it because it can just stick up in random ways when you wake up in the morning, and when I had long hair, it's just long and not sticking up. Like, we're introduced to the Beetle Boys, which we sort of mentioned with Cheech and Chong. There's this little shot where they ride their beetles straight into some fruit, I think. And I was watching this with my son and I said, "Oh, look how small they are. They can ride beetles." And my son said, "Oh, they aren't very good at it." Because they,
Judgy much?
I know.
You try to ride a beetle, sir. No, they are pretty bad at it, though.
I think I had forgotten they're supposed to be like these stupid side characters.
I found a random movie connection here. Maggie, she is Dottie from Armageddon.
Which
The I
one's
bel
Dottie?
believe the elderly lady at the beginning yelling at the husband to
Yeah.
come to dinner that he names the comet after.
Yeah, the asteroid. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, yes. That's funny.
yeah,
Forgot about
thought you'd like that one.
I I I just forgot about Armageddon completely.
How dare you?
How dare I?
After all those little introductions, we get, in my opinion, the real reason we're here. Enter Batty. Obviously, I already mentioned Rob Williams. Not only is it Rob Williams, but it's like kind of turned up a little bit because Batty is a character that was misused by humans. He was put to some tests. He's got wires sticking out of his head for whatever reason. So he's like extra crazy Rob Williams.
Mhm. Right. Yeah, I had to explain to my son that people do experiments on animals sometimes, and he was horrified. Also, my son and I had just watched Flubber. We do a movie every Friday when he gets home from school. I picked Flubber for the most recent one. And first of all, he thought Flubber was hilarious. I think any kid would think Robin Williams bouncing around is hilarious.
Right.
So I was explaining to him, like, the guy that's voicing the bat, that's the same guy from Flubber. And my husband had come to watch some of it with us, Flubber, not FernGully, but we were trying to explain to my son, like, what a huge movie star Robin Williams was, because my son was like, "Wait, I think he's familiar," and at this point, my son has seen Mrs. Doubtfire. He's also seen The Birdcage.
Nice.
He thinks The Birdcage is hilarious.
Awesome.
So, I was trying to explain to him he's in all these movies, and my son's like, "Oh, like, he does a lot of movies." And I was like, "Well, he was a big deal when we were kids." And I think he's, like, the only actor you would think of for a lot of these roles that he's in anyway.
Yeah, yeah, especially for
For,
like a
like,
baddie or a
something like
genie.
Flubber, like, something that's so physical like that, and, like, the rapid fire jokes he always makes, like,
Hmm.
really in any role because you see it all the time.
That's
I'm
true.
sure he
Yeah.
ad-libbed a lot, but because I was also explaining he's the genie in Aladdin, and my son's like, "What? Like,
Yeah.
how
Who
does
is
one
this
person have
man?
all this?" Yeah, who is this? Who is this amazing man? We both very much liked this introduction. I think there's some point where he falls and he says, "Oh, gravity works." And, like, we
Yeah.
were cracking up.
Yeah, he just like stands still for a second on a ledge of some sort and just doesn't correct himself. It falls. I don't
Mhm.
know. It's weird. So when he's introducing himself to the fairies after Krista does cure his blindness with some magic,
Oh, yeah.
he's explaining to the fairies what he is and that humans are not extinct because they think that. And he's like, oh no, they were the ones doing these experiments on me and
Mhm.
whatever. And this part made me crack up. Pips comes up to him and he says something like, I like your haircut or whatever. And Daddy just screeches. He's like, "Ah!" Like for no reason. And then he's like explaining what kind of creature he is. And he just shouts, I'm a bat. I don't know why that's so funny.
It's the delivery.
Yeah.
It's yeah, because it's just loud and chaotic. Obviously, my son thought this was all hilarious
Oh
because
my
like,
God.
people screaming is very funny, or bats screaming, I guess, is
Yeah.
very funny. Definitely forgot about Batty's rap. I forgot about pretty much all the songs, and then once they would start singing them, I'd be like, "Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, same. To be noted, that's Robin Williams doing the rap.
Oh, yeah. Mhm."
Yeah. That's not like, 'cause sometimes in an animated movie, you get the actor, then you get someone else to be the singer.
Right.
This was Robin Williams laying it down.
Yeah, this was all Robin Williams.
Mhm.
This is when we meet Krista's father, like, I think they have a meeting or it looks like a community meeting of all the fairies. He has this line where he says, "Now, Krista," and all I could think of was the Sultan in Aladdin when he says, "Now, Jasmine," and I was like, "This is literally the dad from the Sultan from Aladdin because he looks like him too."
It's funny because before I read your note, I thought the same thing, was going to type that. I'm like, well, someone already beat me to it. So I one upped you and looked it up. We're right. It is the guy that plays the Sultan. It's Douglas Seal.
So I didn't think it was literally the same guy. I guess I just assumed they looked similar because they had poached Disney animators.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's funny because literally when he said, "Now, Krista," I was like, "Who does that sound like?"
I
And it
did the
took
same
me a
thing.
little bit,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, the Sultan from Aladdin,"
Well, if
when
they
he
didn't animate him the way they did, I
Mhm.
maybe wouldn't have made that connection as quickly to the Sultan
Yeah.
because the voice is like, and you're right, the way he delivers that line, I'm like, that sounds so familiar. And then, of course, there's a second where I'm like, well, duh, Joe, how many times did you watch this as a kid? And I was like, no, Joe, there's another reason for this. And he's got, he's a little heavy set fairy. He's got the long mustache and goatee beard situation.
Yeah.
I was like, hold on. Who does that look like? I say who, it's another character. Like, the actor doesn't look like this.
I know, but
But
still, it's
in my
animated
world
just
of
like
8
him,
years
yeah.
old, who does this look like? And it's funny because we have Rob Williams from Aladdin. Now we also have Douglas Seal, who I only know his name, so I had to look him up, but he plays both Sultan and Father
Mhm.
Fairy. I don't know if his character even has a name.
Right. So, like you said, Batty is telling them that humans still exist, and everyone's like, "No, no, they're extinct. Like, we took care of that." And he's like, "No, really?" And he said something, I think someone asked what they look like, and he said Batty says something about humans walk around wearing shorts and saying, "Hi, Helen." And it was so funny. And my son and I just randomly through the whole movie be like, "Hi, Helen."
Yeah, they asked about if, like, they have tails. It's like, "No, they have flat bottoms, and they wear baggy shorts." In the '90s, we definitely wore some baggy shorts, that's for sure.
Yes. Eventually, we get to this bit where Krista is wandering away. She wanders into where all these trees are being cut down. We see Zach spray painting red X's on them, marking them as trees to be cut down. I remember this part from when I was a kid where Krista flies up to one of the trees and she touches the paint and it looks like she has blood on her hands at first.
Mhm.
I'm sure that was intentional. These people
Yes.
have blood on their hands.
Mhm.
But that part I definitely remembered. But it was very striking this time how ugly they made this whole area look compared to like how pretty and green and colorful everything was up until this point.
Yeah, the tones are much darker, like, physically, but obviously also emotionally on screen. for as big as whatever this machine is called, the ledger, so it has a weird name. The tree cutting machine. It looks in the shot, it
You're
like looks
right.
really small in this middle of a field that is all tree stumps.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really a good way to show how much destruction they already have done.
Mhm.
And then we go inside this machine.
Yeah.
Um, and I think forget the guy's name is it's Tony and whatever, a big guy and a skinny guy, construction workers.
Basic.
I think kind of New York sounding. What was weird though is how different in style they were animated compared to the two other random guys we see for like 2 seconds on their screen and
Yes.
Zach.
I
It's like they look
noticed
more
that.
like they look more real,
Real
and these guys are like
humans.
very cartoony looking.
Yep. I noticed that too. I was like, "Why is that guy on the, like, video feed so different looking?" But yep, I picked that up too. There's also a point where when Krista is, like, traveling through the forest, we see a kangaroo, and for some reason, I went my whole life not realizing this is supposed to be set in Australia. I guess when I
Same.
think okay, really? Because
Yes.
I felt so silly because we see it multiple times. And obviously later when Pips finds the Walkman, it's like the kangaroo that brings it in the pouch. But I guess when I think rainforest, I think of South America,
Same.
the Amazon. So I just have always assumed that's where this was set. And then obviously when I was doing my research and found out like the couple who got this whole thing started, they were Australian, they were living in Australia. It all makes a lot of sense. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
we saw the kangaroo and I said to my son, "Wait, that's kangaroo. Does that mean they're in Australia?" And he was like, "You're the one who's seen this movie before." And I was like, "You know what? Fair." But then it's funny you bring up that these guys working the tree cutter downer sound definitely not Australian,
None of them. There's no accent that would signify Australia to me in this film,
right?
which is
I'm
fine. I don't wanna, like, be stereotypical or cliché, and I didn't know this movie was set anywhere, I guess, specifically Australia until 3 days ago, because it's just the rainforest, and I guess as a kid, I assumed, yes, South America, but also I just as a kid, it took place in FernGully specifically, which is not an
a
existence.
made up
It
play.
was a made up
Yeah.
place, so I guess I never really thought too literal about it, and it does feel, even though it is in Australia, we know that now, the kangaroo just
Mhm.
feels off to me. Like, do
It
kangaroos live in rainforests? I didn't think they did, but what do I know about kangaroos, apparently?
yeah. Yeah.
Like, the bugs, the lizards, the weird creepy crawly things,
That all makes sense, yeah.
and then a kangaroo just shows up.
Yep. I feel so validated though that you also
I had no
have the
idea.
same experience.
I forgot there was a kangaroo at all until they
I
have
mean,
the
I
Walkman in their pouch. They do live in rainforests, they're highly specialized, tree kangaroos. They look a little different than what we were. Yeah, they don't look like a regular kangaroo, like the one that was animated. They look kind of a like a koala bear mix thing.
oh, I've okay, yeah. I've seen those before.
So maybe if they would have put that in the movie, I would have known better. I don't know. Or maybe they made it a real kangaroo so we would understand they're in Australia. And we're like, no, it's just the rainforest, bro. It's FernGully. Everything lives in
They
FernGully.
put that in as a visual clue, and then for decades, we were like,
Meh.
we just yeah. Okay, so moving on. So this is when no, she makes him tiny first. Krista makes Zach tiny in order to save him
Mhm.
from
Shredder
the
thing.
chainsaw thing. Yeah, it's kind of like a spur of the moment thing where she's like, "Oh my god, I finally used my powers," and he's like, "Okay, great, thanks." Like,
Yeah.
but yes, we see the evil tree that very obviously looks very evil and different that
Yes.
Hexus is trapped in. Zach marks it to be cut down, which is how we get into this whole situation.
Doesn't he do it on accident? Is that the vibe I always got? Because she's flying around
I
him trying to be like, "Oh, there's a human. He's this cute boy. Let me check him out." And he thinks it's a
Mhm.
bug, and he's, like, spraying at the bug, and it makes this
Yes.
X-shaped pattern.
That's what I thought.
It almost feels like somehow Hexus uses his little evil witchy ways to, like, get this all to kind of happen.
Oh, I never thought of it that way, but yeah. Yeah, I do think it was an accident because Zach is trying to spray Krista, who he thinks is a bug or whatever, with
Right.
spray paint. I just couldn't help noticing how evil they make it look when it's just a random tree. We're not talking about the Hex's tree, but tree goes into the shredder and is eventually turned into boards. Watching this back as an older person, I could not help thinking about when I had to read The Grapes of Wrath in high school. And there's a lot of descriptions about machinery and plows, like, raping the earth, and that's
Yeah.
just mhm.
I also wanna point out that's not how boards are made on the spot like that, but, fine, whatever. It's
Yeah, it's a kid's
like,
movie.
the tree goes in, boards come out. Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
they just had to, give you that visual.
Yeah. The inner workings of this machine is vast. It is ridiculous
Yes.
how it's like the TARDIS, it's bigger on the inside.
Okay, that was all. I
Oh,
just
okay, yeah.
had to point that out about the Grapes of Wrath.
I mean, it does feel like that, though.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
definitely make it scary. They definitely
Mhm.
are honing in on this is bad.
Mhm.
Although Zach is shrunken and safe, because Batty comes and saves them because he falls into a spider web, of course, and they almost get eaten up by the machine. Batty saves
Mhm.
him. He realizes Zach's a human, and he's wants to fight him, not because he's of appropriate size for a bat to fight,
Yeah.
but Zach, now being confused that he is 3 inches tall, he says, "Am I dead?" And Chris is like, "No." And Batty jumps in. Well, we could fix that for you.
Yeah.
Like he's really about to like cut him with his little thumbnail.
Mhm. This is also where a lizard comes by and tries to eat Zach. The lizard is voiced by Tone Loc.
Is it Tone Loc or Tone Lock? I thought it was Tone Lock. Have I
Yeah.
been saying this wrong for 30 years? I think you're right.
Tone Loc. Yep.
Yeah. Pronounced with an H. I've been saying Tone Lock for a long time.
It's short for locator,
Oh. Well, see if I would have
apparently.
known that.
I never knew that. Yeah, so as a kid, I definitely did not know this was Tone Loc, which is funny because I remember all of his singles from being a kid, like, they're on the radio all the time.
Yeah.
I maybe just didn't know, like, who the singer was at the time.
I'm sure I didn't know the singer, but I remember as a kid knowing the voice, probably because, I mean, yeah, I've heard this stuff on the radio, but I would think at this time specifically, Wild Thing was really big on Jammin' 92.3.
Oh, yeah, Jammin' 92.3.
And later I would remember him from Ace Ventura.
Oh, I totally forgot about him being in Ace Ventura. Yeah, so he sings a song about how he might as well eat Zach because he needs to eat something, and
Yeah.
I think you're just like, "Okay." I mean, that is animal life, I guess.
Yeah. It's like, I'm hungry. I guess I'll eat this. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because, my son watches so many things about animals and nature that usually the kid-focused stuff goes to great pains to be like, "Oh, it's the circle of life. This is how animals survive. They have to eat each other sometimes to
Yeah.
try to, like, smooth things over." But yeah, Krista saves Zach because she is friends with the lizard, and he's like, "Well, you can't eat this one because he's my friend," which I
Hmm.
feel like is probably gonna cause problems eventually if everyone in the rainforest is her friend, like, who can eat who?
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep. I actually didn't think about that. Maybe she's not friends with all the animals.
I don't know. They deal with this in that new movie, Hoppers, where they just have an agreement that you're allowed to eat each other because, like, those are the rules. Like,
Fair enough.
yep, like, when it's your time, it's your time. They just, like, accept it. 'Cause they all live together as a community, but then, like, they also acknowledge they have to eat each other sometimes.
That somehow seems more messed up. I don't,
You
huh.
know?
Like, I like our childhood, the animated movies are like, the bad guys were gonna be maybe like a shark or a bear that would eat you. Bambi, everyone's like herbivore or something like that, and now in this movie's like, well, my friend's gonna eat me one day. Thumbs up.
It's kinda how it plays out in that movie, yeah.
That's kind of weird. I don't like it.
Yep, I know.
Let's talk about the real evil. Some smoke monsters.
Yeah, let's talk about the real evil, the made up smoke oil monster in FernGully.
Hmm.
Definitely remember the part where Zach tries to shake Krista's hand and then she sticks her hand out at him because she doesn't know what a handshake is.
Yeah, I feel like it was in the trailer too, which I meant to watch. When I tried watching it, it was just a scene from the movie. I was like, okay, well, that's not how this works.
Did you watch the trailer on, like, the streaming service you were using?
Yeah, and it was wrong, and I meant to watch it after the fact, and I was just writing notes instead, and I forgot.
Yeah, I feel like that happens a lot, because sometimes there are movies that I think about watching with my son that I haven't seen in a while, and I'm trying to remember if it's, actually okay for him to watch or not, and sometimes when I try to play the trailers, especially on Disney Plus, I think, it'll just be a scene from the movie, and that does not help. But for FernGully, I looked up the trailer on YouTube because I wanted to show it to my son when I was asking him if he wanted to watch this one with me, and they do have that pretty prominently in the trailer. I don't know if they have that much of Hexus in the trailer because as we went through this movie, I was kind of surprised at how scary some of the iterations of Hexus are.
There's got to be. We've got to hammer that home. This is bad. Pollution is bad.
Hmm. But like he's oil at first, kinda. I remember his like
Uh,
snaky, oily, blobby
yeah, I don't know if
part
he
in
was
the
like,
beginning.
was he? I guess he'd be oil. I kind of didn't think of that literally. I was thinking because they just cut the tree and they made the boards and he kind of seeped out of it. My head is going, he's from a tree. Maybe he's like a molasses sap type iteration
Oh.
at this moment, but it could be oil as well because he does take on different forms of toxins and pollution.
My son and I decided that, especially during his song that he sings, he reminded us of Oogie Boogie from Nightmare Before Christmas. But there is a particular part where he kind of shreds himself and falls to the ground in like wormy pieces. And that definitely gave me Oogie Boogie vibes.
Yeah, it's because it matches whatever the lyrics were. Something like
Hmm.
raining down like some sort of noodles. I I listened to it now and I was like, wait, what? It doesn't make any sense. When do noodles rain?
Did you catch that there's a line where he says he's a new kind of horny?
Yeah, that did kind of slip past me. And I was like, what's going on now?
I did not hear it. It came up when I was, doing my research for this episode, and it was an article that was more like a look back in today's time, a look back at
Yeah.
FernGully, and but it was really funny because they were talking about, like, Tim Curry voices the villain, the oddly sexy villain?
So I was going to bring up that as well. I kind of forgot about, because I didn't note it, the new kind of horny. Because I was like, wait, what did you say?
I did
And
not catch it.
I, when you watch a movie from your past, sometimes you catch these things, or sometimes you
Mhm.
don't because it's just rinse repeat. I've watched 100 times, and I heard it differently with my adult ears, but also then it kind of went away so quickly because I thought maybe I misheard it wrong, or I was
Yeah.
focusing on something else to take notes. But speaking of sexy hexes, I'm going to call him sexy hexy from now on. By the way,
Great.
there's so when he's starts out as the blob, and then he starts like, now I'm thinking of it, it's kind of actually gross. He starts like sucking the smokestacks and getting into his bigger form and becomes like the smoke form he's most of the movie.
Mhm,
When he
mhm.
goes inside at the end of the song, he's going into like this. I don't know. It looks like the ghost trap from Ghostbusters. I don't know what the hell this part of this machine is. It's like a
Yeah.
chamber, a red chamber. Again, the inside of this machine is huge. I don't know what part of
Yeah.
the truck this little. I don't know. I don't know what to call it. Whatever. It's like a chamber. But he
Yeah.
goes in there, and at the end of the song, he's like making these breathing noises. The way they animate him, he's like posing like sexy like.
Yes.
Um,
Is this when he has a human face too?
Yeah, when he's the smoke and you can see a little
Yeah.
bit of a face and he's like
Yeah, yeah.
kind of buff. I wrote that yes, I during the song he does kind of remind me of Oogie Boogie, but I kind of see more Hades because he's kind of like not quite a flame hat, but he's he's smoky little head and he's kind of
Yeah.
buff. But yeah, he's like trying to like seduce me. Like what is going on here?
I feel like that's kind of part of it because he's sort of it's trying to almost put a spell on these people working the machine to, like, go cut down FernGully, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's the seduction of capitalism?
Yes.
Money?
Yes. Isn't there like weird lines in the baddie song too?
I was gonna bring that up because, again, I did not catch them, but a little while ago, one of my neighbors said that he let his kids watch FernGully, and during the baddie song, there's something about a rocket in his pocket, and I was like, "Really?"
Hmm.
And I forgot to listen for it when I was watching it
Yeah.
back. Yeah, so, maybe I need to rewatch this again because didn't realize it was that inappropriate.
It's harder to catch the ones in the baddie rap because it is very fast.
And
Like he just
yes.
says a bunch of things because he's Robin Williams.
Well, yeah, that too, yes.
And half the time it
Um,
doesn't make sense anyways. You're like, whatever, rock in
you're
your
like,
pocket.
"It's
That's
Robin
great.
Williams."
Sure thing. Baddie's got a rocket in his pocket. We got sexy Hexy.
Jesus. Okay. Um, okay.
Where are
I
we?
don't remember where we are in the movie.
When looking at the cast list, just to, see who some of these people were, that's how I found out who the lady was Dottie.
Mhm,
I saw a name that looked familiar. I didn't know why. He plays this character called Noddy. Don't
mhm.
know who Noddy is. I think he's like the small beetle buddy.
Okay.
Can't
Yeah, I was gonna
confirm.
ask you who that was because I saw
I
your
don't know.
note.
Yeah, I don't
Okay,
know.
okay.
He's played by Townsend Coleman. I was like, why does this name sound familiar? Looked him up. He was like Michelangelo in the Turtles cartoon. I was like, okay, that sounds familiar. Besides the fact that I watched that show,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, he was a voice in the Teen Wolf animated show. And I think we brought that up when we talked about Teen Wolf.
Okay, yeah.
So
Huh,
yeah,
okay.
weird connections here. This is
Yeah.
one fairy. She's a little like older, heavyset fairy that the animation looks different on her than the other fairies. The one scene she's in, Pips shows them the Walkman, and then Zach plays it, and she like plugs her ears, and she's like, "It's so noisy." She looks she looks familiar to me from another Disney movie. And I can't place her, but I feel like they made her look a certain way intentionally to look like another character. I just don't know how to Google search that to find out how I know quote unquote this character.
So, that scene you're talking about when they all are listening to the Walkman?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is when Pips is like, "Oh, I found this thing and I'll explain it to you," and he's, like, totally wrong about it, and Zach's, like, showing him up. I felt like the way all the fairies were reacting, it kinda reminded me of the opening in Beauty and the Beast when Belle's walking through town, and it's sort of like a bunch of dumb villagers because she's supposed
Mm.
to be, like, different. Because some of them are just like, "Ugh," like, "What are books?" Like,
Books? Ugh. If you read a book, you'd realize the rainforest is also in Australia.
I never read
Joe.
that one.
Yeah. No.
Oh gosh. Okay, so I guess I don't remember it being so cheesy, but it was really cheesy when, Zach is, like, rocking out to whatever song was on his Walkman, and he's trying to get them all to dance with him, and I just kept feeling like he was pretending to be, like, a big rock star, but wasn't quite getting the moves right or something, and it was like he was pretending to hold a microphone up to his mouth, but then even that was sort of, like, half-assed. It was like this weird impersonation of a rock star that he wasn't really pulling off.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, maybe it's just another reason to have a song in a children's movie.
I mean, sure.
Um,
But also, speaking of cheesy, when Zach and Krista go on their little swim together and they like are in the caves. First of all, like these caves always looked so cool to me and they still do,
Yeah.
especially the parts where they're running through like the sectioned puddles. I don't know what else to call them, but they turn colors when they jump into them. I always thought that was so cool. Still do, but this love song is so cheesy.
Yeah, I was having a hard time paying attention as an adult during this part. I was like, "What? All right, well, okay. Just a little love song
Yep.
still going on.
It
All
is
right."
a really long scene or sequence, I guess. Yeah, I think my son was kinda, like, losing interest after a little bit.
Mhm. While this is happening, Hexus comes on the loudspeaker in the leveler and pretends to be these guys' boss. And they're like, "Okay, boss." He's like, "We gotta get to FernGully," and they know what that is apparently, and they complain it's gonna.
Yeah, I was surprised at
Yeah,
that.
right, like,
I thought this was a name the fairy people gave it,
yeah,
but
I don't
maybe
know.
not, yeah.
Yeah. Unless he put coordinates on his GPS for him. I don't know. But they're like, "That's gonna take all day. We're gonna get overtime. Woo," or whatever. Meanwhile, like no other human workers are there anymore. Like Zach shrunk in. They don't care. Like, oh, he must have cut early for the day. These city boys don't work hard anymore. Meanwhile, they sound like they're from Brooklyn in the middle of Australia. I don't know what's going on here.
Right, yeah,
But like
and
they did show on the monitor other workers. Where did all the humans go?
I thought about that too, 'cause I was like, "What happened to the weirdly animated ones?"
Yeah, like they are in the middle of
Oops.
nowhere. But
Yep,
anyway, Sexy Hexy is telling these guys that they've got to cut down more trees. So they're coming towards FernGully, and
yes.
during this love song, it cuts away to the clearing, and I'm like, damn, they made some short work of this rainforest. There's a lot of trees missing all of a sudden.
Mhm,
The leveler is a hungry beast.
yeah. I mean, the blade on that thing is enormous, or at least they make it look like it is, so I guess I'm not too surprised. But
Yeah,
also, uh, Hexus said they're, like, not allowed to stop working, like, they can't sleep or eat or anything. So, I guess if you literally work 24/7, you'll cut down a lot of trees.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, you're right, the one guy's just like, "Woo, overtime pay."
right. See, it is capitalism.
Yeah, there you go. So, we get this scene where I feel like the fairies are banding together to save FernGully, and then the grandma, not grandma,
Mm.
just, like, dies in the middle of it.
She's like, I gotta go.
I forgot about her dying, I guess. I thought they were
Same.
all getting together to make a plan and save FernGully, and then it's just, like, in the middle of all this, she's like, "Krista, I've taught you everything you need. Goodbye."
And I'm watching it like, what'd you teach her? Because when you try to teach her things in the beginning of the movie, she's too distracted and she zoomed away to go hang out with Pips or whatever. So I'm like, what did you teach her? Grandma, we need you now more than ever. Why are you leaving?
We need you now more than ever.
We got sexy
Yeah,
Hexy on the way. We need Cupcake Grandma to save the day.
no, I had this same thought where it was like, she was the one that originally imprisoned Hexus. I can't even think of his real name now because I was about to just call him Hexy. She
You're welcome.
yeah, she was the one that originally imprisoned him in that tree, so she's defeated him once before.
Right.
She's like, as far as we know, the only one alive who's ever even seen him or whatever. She's also the only one alive who's maybe ever encountered a human, except for this one now that Krista has shrunk.
Mhm.
But yeah, now they're facing this huge battle because they all know he's released, and and yes, you're right that we have not seen any evidence that Krista actually knows anything.
Well, she did the one magic thing with Batty's eyes, and she shrunk Zach,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it was like on accident. And then when she tried to make him big again briefly, that didn't work.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
It
Yeah.
was different parts of different animals, and it was to
Yeah.
Batty's amusement because he doesn't like humans, which I get why.
Yeah.
So that was funny. But yeah, she just pieces out.
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, I might be the
Yeah.
only one to save you guys, but I'm tired. I'm gonna fade away now." And then during this scene, I know it wasn't the same, but the tone was really similar. The music reminded me of the tree star music, for lack of a better term, from Land Before Time.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. Yep.
Not quite, but
Not quite.
almost. I'm sure we'll talk about that in the future as well.
Yep. Yep. That movie traumatized my son because what do you mean parents can die?
Mm, yeah, well,
Because that you like actually see Littlefoot's mom die in that one.
yeah.
Yeah. In the Disney movies, they're just already gone for the most part.
Save the trouble and the trauma.
Yeah. Speaking of my son, though, he loved this bit where Batty picks up Zach and he's pretending he's in a war movie.
Mhm.
Like, my son thought this was the funniest thing, especially when Batty's like crunched up with like suddenly a helmet on, like carrying Zach.
I
And
think it's his ears, like, folded up to be a helmet, I
oh,
believe.
yes. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like the
Yeah. I
whole
was like, where did
sequence.
it come from?
The sequence before that's good too, because Betty saves Zach again, and he mentions that he's saved him again.
Mhm.
And Zach's like, "No, we gotta go back that way." He goes, "No, that's like sudden death." And Zach keeps doing this thing to poor Batty. Again, wires are sticking out of his head.
Yeah.
And he's like, wrong channel. And he like smacks the wires to get different characters,
Like,
reactions,
yeah.
whatever out of Batty,
Different personalities. Yeah.
which is great because it's Rob Williams. So they have apparently 14 hours of takes to use. Um, I feel like they just animated the movie around Robin Williams.
Yeah. They could have.
So something happens and Batty gets hit by some sort of debris and
Hmm.
Zach goes flying in a different direction and he lands on the windshield of the leveler. And I remember this and I remember thinking like there's going to be something where I assumed that the windshield wiper was going to go or something. Like they're going to think he's a
Yeah.
bug,
Yeah. Hmm.
which would have been funny. What actually happened to me was funnier where the skinnier guy turns to his partner and he's like, "Hey, Tone, there's a little man on the windshield here."
Yeah,
Like,
I
not a
thought that
bug.
was good.
He's like, "Oh, that's a little man." I was like, "Wait, he sees it? It's wouldn't you be a little concerned that there's a shrunken man? Does he look familiar to you? Does he not look like that
That's
character from earlier that you said, where did he go? He's there now."
yeah. I mean, his hair is very blonde and his skin is very brown. I feel like he's sort of recognizable. I just thought he was supposed to be like a surfer dude,
He definitely was.
especially
Doesn't he like leaf
learning.
surf at one point?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, but especially learning that, the couple who created this lived in Byron Bay, I figured.
Yeah.
But
So
yes,
wait a minute. We've got kangaroos in the rainforest, proper kangaroos, not tree kangaroos.
yes.
We've got Brooklyn leveler construction guys and a surfer dude from California.
I thought he was supposed to be a surfer dude from Australia because they lived in like a surfing area in
I
Australia.
mean, one would assume, but it doesn't sound like it. I don't know.
I mean, fair, yeah. So we get to this point where Zach literally turns off the machine, the
Mhm.
cutter downer.
I think it's called the leveler.
Literally turns the key and shuts it down. And for some reason, Hexus is like, oh, it's out of power. And he gets kind of like sucked back in and disappears.
Mhm.
And literally, my son and I looked at each other and we were like, is it really that easy? Like, that seemed way too easy. And then immediately I wrote, oh, never mind. Cause then he just comes back out and he's bigger.
Yeah, I don't know how or why that happens. Like, it makes sense turning off the machine. Well, at least we'll stop the machine from cutting down trees, which is great. And then he does kind of get
Mhm.
sucked back into the smokestack because he's a smoke monster. But then he just comes
Yeah.
back and he's like even larger, like you said. And we're like, well, but I thought he was kind of being fed by all this toxin and pollution. Maybe he just has enough and he's strong now.
Yeah. I was confused about how Hexus was supposed to work because, right, I thought like he was being fed by the machine running because it's
Hmm.
you see even before Hexus is released, the machine is belching out like smoke and pollution and stuff. And so it's like, okay, that's what he runs on. But then it's like, at the same time, that wouldn't even make sense because Hexus has been around before and
Yeah.
without human help necessarily. So, yeah, I was just really confused. I just decided to go with it and, oh, he's
Hmm.
back, like,
He's back.
and bigger than ever. Like,
Now he's got like a skeleton form
yeah.
and he looks really cool. It reminds me of, surprise, some other Disney movie. I want to say Black Cauldron or Sword in the Stone or something.
Mhm.
Yeah, just his skeleton form is pretty cool, pretty badass. Looks like it could be on
Yeah.
the cover of like a heavy metal album or something.
I was just about to say that, especially when Krista plants the seed in his mouth and it starts,
Hmm.
like, growing out of his skull, like, that's kinda badass.
Yeah. But yeah, she plants a little seed in him, like literally
Mhm.
dives into him and she's gone and
Mhm.
he can't stop the magic of the magi power. I don't know what to call it. And he just,
Yeah, whatever
a
the
tree
growth.
grows from within him and encapsulates him back into a tree.
Mhm.
I don't think he's trapped anymore. I think he's now
Now,
maybe he's
like, is a
defeated.
tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this tree doesn't necessarily look evil either.
It doesn't look normal either. It's like this
No.
weird twisted cone shape without
Right.
branches or leaves.
It's also not black and shimmery like the first one
Yeah,
was.
it doesn't look evil, it just doesn't look right.
Yes. There is a song that the fairies start singing, or maybe just Pips is telling everyone to sing this song, and I can't exactly remember how this song goes now, but my son is so into the newer Lorax movie. It's Zac Efron and Taylor Swift, and it's like they really build out the story of how all these people are living now in this world without trees, and this
Mhm,
boy goes to see the Onceler and gets told the story of the Lorax. So it's kind of like you have flashbacks, and then you have this current way that people are living where there are no trees, everything's artificial. And they sing a song called Let It Grow at the end of this movie because the boy gets a seed from the Onceler to plant a tree, and the bad guy in the Lorax is like, "No, no, everyone, let it die," because he's, like, selling people oxygen because there are no trees, and he's, like, also running this whole city. But,
okay.
yeah, my son was like, "This song is very much like the Lorax," and I was like, "Actually, yeah."
Mhm. Yeah,
It sounded a lot like it, yeah.
movie-wise too, like, the theme and message is kinda similar.
Definitely, yeah. The newer version of the Lorax is definitely not a movie I thought I'd be watching so much. So, yes, like you said, Sexy Hexy is defeated. You know, they all agree that Zach should be put back to his normal size and go back to his normal life. I like how Pips really likes Zach now because Zach is leaving.
Yes. Well, he also helped save the day.
Sure, but I think it also helps that Zach isn't going to be competing for Krista's attention anymore.
Of course, yes. Oh, speaking
Yeah.
of which, the very beginning of Zach being introduced to the fairy community, and then they go off to do something, Zach and Krista. Did you catch that Pips calls him Zag at first? He's like, "Whatever you say, Zag." Like, he purposely doesn't call
No,
him
I
his real
didn't.
name. Yeah, I thought that was great.
Ah, yeah. But yeah, when Zach gets back to his normal size, he's holding Batty, right?
Yeah, he finds Batty. He's now normal size in his hands, and well, I guess he was always normal, but now he's small, and Zach's bigger hands. Now he's a human. No, he's always a human. Damn it.
No, he was always a human.
Anyway, he revives Batty in his normal hands of a normal sized man. Batty was unconscious during this whole, hey, we should like make Zach big again. So when he wakes up, he's like, I've shrunk. He just like flies away.
Yeah. And then we have this last shot of Zach telling the 2 workers that, just survived their encounter with Hexus and all this. He says, "Guys, things have got to change." And he puts his arms around them and they walk away together. And
Hmm.
I was like, I feel like none of those people would be walking away like this, first of all.
Yeah.
And then that message on the screen for our children and our children's children.
Yep.
And spoiler alert, nothing has changed.
Hmm. We still have random kangaroos in the rainforest.
Nope, that's not what I was talking about.
Oh, my bad. You're talking about the bad things. There's
I'm
still bad
talking
things.
about the lack of environmentalism.
Oh, yes, yeah, that has not changed.
Like, was global warming even on anyone's radar when this was made?
Mm, I can't say for certain.
The state of the earth has definitely gotten worse, so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know if FernGully hit its target audience.
Not enough people watched it, maybe.
Maybe.
They were too distracted by the humor of Baddie and the sex appeal of Texas. They're like, "Ooh, you know what? Maybe we should make more smoke."
S
This guy's really got onto something here.
I tried to explain to my son because we watched Clue recently, and he had never seen it before, and he keeps talking about how funny it is when the butler runs all over the place in Clue, like, toward the end when Tim Curry's acting everything out again, and I was trying to explain to him that that was the same guy that did the voice of Hexus, and he was like, "No, it's not." He's like, "That's not possible."
He's probably not even getting his head wrapped around about Robin Williams being in everything he's ever watched.
Yeah, I think that blew his mind. How can one man be in so many things? So anyway, do you have anything else you would like to mention before I get into other things?
This movie, maybe because of like the message it was trying to convey, reminded me in a weird way of, do you remember the, oh God, I have to get this right. I have it right here. Cartoon All Star Saves the Day or whatever. It was
Oh,
like a,
was it when they were stopping the kid from doing drugs?
yes.
Yes, I rented that from the video store all the time, and I feel like no one else knows what that is.
Yeah. Nope. Nope. I had that because it had every animated
Everyone, yeah.
hero that you want to see in a 30-minute anti-smoking commercial.
Yep.
But yeah, it Sexy Hexy kind of reminded me of the bad smoking character. And like I said, obviously the message they're conveying about not specific messages of like don't pollute and cut down rainforests and don't do drugs, kids, but the fact that it was
Mhm.
kind of a animated movie to get some sort of message across specifically. This monster that was made of cigarette smoke kind of reminds me of Hexus in a way.
I guess I forgot that that movie was about smoking specifically. I thought it was about, like,
I
harder drugs.
I think it's I haven't seen it in a long time. I think it's
Yeah, me
a
neither.
mix of all of it, but the bad guy comes from cigarette smoke
Oh, okay.
because that's the gateway drug. No, no, it's marijuana. That's still smoking though.
Uh,
I don't know. Winnie the Pooh's in it.
yeah,
One of the Ninja Turtles, probably
it's
Michelangelo.
it's really like a who's who
Oh
of
yeah, there is like Alvin and the Chipmunks are in there. The Smurfs.
yes. Speaking of such, my son, he made a joke about he plays drums. He was making a joke that he was gonna go do something, and he was sounding out the word drums, like, waiting for me to guess it, and then he at the last second, he was like, "Drugs. And go do drugs." And I was like, "Don't you have DARE in school? Haven't they taught you about this?" And he's like, "What's DARE?" So I guess they don't have that anymore?
Hmm.
And
Interesting.
then I thought of that thing that you just brought up, the Cartoon All-Stars. I'm like, "Well, maybe you need to watch this."
I feel like they would have Dare, but maybe not at his age. 'Cause I don't remember Dare until I was older.
Oh, I remember it in, like, 5th grade.
It was sixth grade for me, if I'm picturing the
Okay.
classroom correctly. But isn't he not that old yet?
He's in 3rd grade.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe. I don't know, I remember always having to, like, watch a movie about, like, a lady who lost her kid to a drunk driver, like a TV movie
Hmm.
that they had recorded, I guess.
uh,
Okay. I'm so excited that you, like, know about that
yeah.
cartoon all-star anti-drug movie because I couldn't even remember what it was called to even, like, think to look it up, so
Yeah, it was hard. I literally just typed in '90s all-star cartoon, and that's it literally pops up, "Cartoon All-Stars to the Rescue" is the title.
Yeah.
Oh, it's got Elf and Daffy Duck also, Garfield, Kermit the Frog, Gonzo,
I thought there
Slimer?
were Muppets.
Hell yeah.
I
Hmm.
just remember them all giving that kid, like, a preview of what he was gonna look like in the future if he did drugs, and he's like a walking corpse.
Yeah, but I just pulled that picture up. It's so good. Here's a still of him smoking. Oh,
Oh, we picked the right time to start doing this on video.
uh, don't do drugs, kids. Or do plenty
Oh,
of them. I
Lord.
don't know what the right message is here.
Okay. Anyway, the Earth.
The Earth.
Yep.
How much did Sexy Hexy and Friends make?
Okay. So they had a budget of 24 million. They grossed 32.7 million. So they were considered a modest hit. It was not it did not do as well as projected. So some critics considered it a bomb. The critics were kind of mixed. Like they all sort of agreed it was the rare non-Disney animated movie that was still charming and kind of fun, but they kept calling it sanctimonious and heavy-handed, trying to teach kids this lesson about saving the trees. And there were a
How dare
few.
they?
Yeah, and that stuck out to me because, like I said, when I was watching this as a kid, that's not the impression I necessarily got. I was also a kid. But even watching it back now, I don't necessarily feel like they're hitting us over the head that much. But I also feel like we've seen plenty of animated movies at this point about animals having their habitat destroyed, or, we have to stop random evil faceless human from cutting down this tree or whatever.
Mhm.
And I mean, that's what that movie Hoppers I mentioned, that's what the whole movie's about, is that the some company is gonna drain a pond and like build on it. And this
Okay.
girl doesn't want them to because she likes the pond. And I just feel like this is always it's like the Muppet villains. Like they're always oil tycoons. I don't feel
Yeah.
like this was anything that different personally.
I didn't think that either, and watching it now, knowing what it's about, still didn't feel like you said, it wasn't heavy-handed, it wasn't getting hit over the head constantly. It was just a movie about this rainforest, and there's an evil monster, and he wants to destroy them, and they stop the monster. I mean, yeah, clearly there is a broader, bigger message, but I don't feel like they're
Yeah.
shoving it down my throat.
Yeah, and a lot of what I read, even if they liked the movie, they talked a lot about it was an anomaly because it was a children's movie with a message. And again, I didn't know if I felt that was so different from whatever else I was watching at the time. I don't know. Because there's always like in kids' movies, there's always very identifiable good versus evil.
Yeah,
And I just took this as another I mean, there is a evil being in this movie that is magical and not a real life thing. So to me, I think I just saw it like any other Disney movie.
right. We have these fairies, which are presumably make believe, unless there's a real FernGully out there.
Right.
And then we have this made up smoke monster dude,
Hmm.
and there you go. I don't know. Good versus evil.
Sure. The year that it was released, it was shown at the UN General Assembly on Earth Day, which is April 22nd.
Makes sense.
Again, a lot of good that did. Wayne Young, the producer, he had stated in interviews around the film's release that portions of the gross would be donated to Greenpeace, the Rainforest Foundation Fund, and the Sierra Club, as well as a special fund benefiting environmental projects administered worldwide by the Smithsonian Institution.
All right.
Yeah, so they're serious.
Yeah.
He pointed out in some articles that came out more recently, looking back at FernGully, that he really likes that FernGully is still used on Instagram or like when Twitter was still Twitter. It's used as a hashtag a lot for just a really nice park, or if people are posting pictures from a national park or just a really pretty area in nature, they'll be like, "Oh, I found FernGully," or just hashtag FernGully. So he thinks it's cool that FernGully as a name has kinda taken on a life of its own in that sense. Like, when
Yeah,
people use it like, when they jokingly call something FernGully, it doesn't even mean it's a rainforest or that it resembles the movie, it's just, like, really pretty nature.
that is pretty cool, though.
Mhm.
I wonder
And
how his ex-wife feels about that.
I know, I'd really like to know. Like,
Hmm,
she's just nowhere in any of these articles. I also when I was just looking for more interviews and information, I happened to find a page on the World Wildlife Fund's website where it was basically a whole article that they put out where current employees were discussing how their love of the movie FernGully encouraged their career choices. All these people
nice.
that went on to work for the World Wildlife Fund. So I just thought that was pretty cool because you see these real world implications that is obviously what this couple wanted when they developed this story in the first
Yeah,
place. And what I thought was interesting too is a lot of these people that they highlighted at the World Wildlife Fund, they weren't like biologists or zoologists. They were people more in the administrative side of things. So
okay.
you can be, they were inspired to have this career that specifically use their skills to, like, benefit environmental causes.
I like it.
It's not just like, "This made me like animals, so I'll go be a vet," or something.
Right, I see what you're saying,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm. Bill Croyer, our director, he now directs the digital arts program at Chapman University, which is in the LA area. It's usually cited as one of the top, like, film schools in the country. He won the June Foray Award with his wife Susan a few years ago for their impact on the animation industry.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
This is obvious his current wife, right?
No, so Bill Croyer was our director. I was just about to say, if you remember from the beginning, he and his wife started their own film production company in order to help the
Mm,
Youngs make
I
FernGully.
was thinking of the producers, yep, my
Yeah,
bad,
yeah. Wayne
my
Young
bad.
is a producer. It gets a little confusing. I actually meant to look up what else Bill Croyer has done. I'm not really finding anything. I mean, I think he was an animator before he directed FernGully. Yeah, like he worked at the art department on Tron.
Okay, which is pretty cool, though.
It looks like that was his only full-length feature was FernGully.
Hmm,
Yep.
alright then.
Okay. So that's pretty much all I have. I do think it's funny though, looking back at it didn't make back a ton of money or it didn't have like a huge profit margin. And then combined with the kind of mixed critics reviews, it's so funny because this movie obviously like was so big for our generation that people still remember it. People still talk about it. And when it came out, people were like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, when it came out, the people that were, "I don't know," are, like, our age now versus yeah, so it's
Yeah,
they
yeah.
were probably like, "Oh, this movie about saving trees, oh my gosh, it's never gonna
Yep.
make money. We gotta cut more trees down, actually." It's
Yep.
yeah,
Anyway.
but, they try to have another message go out there. They made, FernGully 2: The Magical Rescue, and this came out in 1998, so maybe they squirreled away some of their profit, I would imagine,
Yeah.
to
I'm a
make this
little
movie.
surprised it had a sequel now that I just explained all that to you. But yeah.
I mean, I was also surprised, I feel like I remember this coming out, and by this point, I did not care about a FernGully sequel in
No.
1998,
I was like in
especially
middle school
because
by then.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but it also didn't have Robin Williams, so that kind of
Yeah.
might have swayed my decision. on whether to care about this or not.
Fair.
Hmm. It was directed by Phil Robinson and co-directed by Dave Marshall, starring none of the original cast. No one came
Always a
back.
good sign. Yeah.
Yeah, no one came back.
Okay.
It was produced by Wild Brain Productions and distributed by 20th Century Fox Home Entertainment, which means I want direct to video.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, another good sign.
Yeah.
So, I didn't see this movie. I'm assuming you didn't see this movie.
No.
Okay, well, let's break it down for
Okay.
funsies.
Yeah, for funsies.
Krista is taking care of three baby animals, and she's demonstrating her greater control over nature. Pips expresses a desire to see more of the outside world. Batty comes crashing in a panic. He's warning that the humans are back. They're poachers this time. These poachers show up with their dogs, and they capture these baby animals that Krista apparently is taking care of. So they get kidnapped or animal napped or whatever you want to call it. So Pips and the Beetle Boys, they volunteer to follow the humans to town to rescue the babies, and they convince Batty to be their guide because Batty apparently knows how to get to town or not. And they do not. They only lived in FernGully. So that makes
Oh,
sense, right?
okay. Sure. Yeah.
Even though I don't know how long removed Batty's been away from humans, but I guess he's the most qualified to be a guide,
I,
which
I
says
guess
a
in this
lot.
situation, yeah. Yeah.
Sure. Well, while that's happening, Krista finds and helps one of the poacher's dogs that got abandoned and caught in a trap and left behind.
Okay.
She calls the dog Boof
Oh my god. Why?
because Boof makes more of a sense for a dog than a human girl.
Yes, but uh,
Yeah.
it's also just like a sound. Like it's not,
Well,
it
maybe
doesn't have to be the name of anything, actually.
maybe the puppy is like making a boofing noise, like boof, and I don't know.
Oh my god. Okay,
Doesn't
yeah.
matter. The
So
fact that Boof comes back into our lives, Rachel. Boof is back,
Poof is
better than
yeah.
ever. I don't know. I haven't seen this movie. I'm making that up. So speaking of funny names,
Well, wait, really
yes.
quick for anyone who has not listened to our Teen Wolf episode, this is funny because Michael J. Fox's best friend, who is also supposed to be his love interest eventually, is named Boof, and none
No
of
one
us could
knows why.
handle it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
Well,
no one knows why.
if that wasn't funny enough, Pips and the Beetle Boys meet a girl named Budgie. Am I saying this right? Budgie? I would say Budgie.
Budgie, yeah.
Okay. Um, who is practicing hard for being a clown. She's like doing a clown act, I guess, and she's been practicing uh for years, she tells Pip about trying to be a clown. I don't know how important this is to the plot, but I want to include it. So Batty has actually located the poacher's
I
place.
thought you were going to say the Pope.
Batty has found the Pope. He got lost. Should have made a left at Albuquerque. So yeah, he finds where the poachers are hiding out, but the others apparently ignore him. They're too fascinated with the modern human utilities. They've never probably seen anything before besides trees.
Yeah,
So
yeah. They've never
okay.
seen anything before.
So Batty goes to make a rescue attempt, but gets caught. Him and the baby animals are all together. The animals are scared and they fear they'll never get back home. And the poachers then put them all in cages and take them onto a big truck. Our group of heroes, this is, I'm assuming, Pip and the Beetle Boys and Budgie, they head out, led by the clown car, to where the ship is, where the animals are being loaded. Mm. A struggle for the cages ensue between the poachers and Budgie. Boof and Krista arrive to help. The other dog turns on the former master, probably,
Okay.
probably Boof's friend here, the ones that were in the beginning of the movie, I'm assuming. The boat gets away, and the fairies use their magic to stop it by growing a gigantic tree that lifts the boat in the air, and they can escape, I guess, that way. I'd be
I mean,
very
that's their
concerned about
only move, I guess.
yeah, bad guy, tree in the middle of the ocean. At the end, Budgie and her grandfather adopt, I guess Slasher is the name of the other dog, and Boof, and all the other animals and fairies return home.
Cool.
Mhm.
It's funny because my son and I are reading the latest Fun Jungle book together, and it's literally about a gorilla, a baby gorilla that gets kidnapped, and they're like watching for shipping containers, like boats coming into port to see if he's in there. And I will let you know if it ends up being resolved by a tree growing in the
Please do. If you were wondering, this film was less critically successful than the original.
shocker.
Mike Boone from the Calgary Herald. This guy gave it negative reviews. They were, quote, lamenting the loss of Robin Williams and the originality of the first film. They didn't have anybody, not just
Yeah,
Robin Williams. I'm sure that would have helped, but they
right.
didn't have Samantha. They didn't have Christian. They didn't have Curry,
Yeah.
Dottie from Armageddon. Very important to have her. No, she disappeared, so she couldn't have been in the sequel. Never mind.
Weirder things have happened.
This is true.
I
Yeah.
because we've talked about sequels before where they're just like, forget about the fact this person died, just like bring him back.
Hmm.
People like that character. Can't do the sequel without them.
In April 2026, a live action remake was announced by Amazon MGM Studios. We shall see.
It's funny because when I was trying to do research for this, most of what was coming up was news about the remake, like when the remake
Mm,
was announced, written and directed by Marielle Heller, who is, I think she's kind of bigger in like indie movie circles. So it's an
okay.
interesting choice.
Yeah.
But what's funny is that, a lot of news sources popping up just announcing this. And then I saw one that said the headline was something like, "Don't let the eco propaganda FernGully be be pushed on the kids of this generation." It's
Oh
like,
my
okay, well,
God.
yeah, eco propaganda.
Why? I don't. I I just don't know why we need a FernGully live action movie or any live action movie from an original animated feature. I don't get it. I don't get this thing that they're doing.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm thinking now about how like Disney's been doing live action remakes of everything, and it's just exhausting. Like, I don't know. I have zero interest in any of them.
Jungle Book was cool. Jungle Book was like one of the first ones to do it.
Okay.
Jungle Book
Okay.
was John Farva. He makes everything great, it seems like. And
Okay.
then they just kept doing it. And I've only
Yeah.
seen that one. I think I might have seen that one in theaters actually. And then I've seen Lion King on streaming because I was very curious. Everyone's talking about it. It was
Mhm.
horrible. I don't know what like the lions have no emotion because they're just supposed to look like lions, and I get it.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like I don't. I
Real
want
animals don't make these faces. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
I want the funny faces. I want the singing and the I don't know.
yeah.
And
Well,
since then I haven't watched anything because if I want to watch Aladdin, I'm going to put on my Aladdin.
yeah. It's funny that you bring that up because when we first got Disney Plus, we got like a free year of it or something with Verizon. It was like brand new. And it was during the pandemic. So we were like, yeah, that's fine. Let's have the kid watch a bunch of Disney movies. That's fine. So, like I said, he's always been really into animals, and they were really highlighting their live action remakes. So he saw like the Lion King remake or the Lady and the Tramp remake and was like, well, I'm going to watch that because animals. And I'm not gonna be like, "Oh, no, no, you have to watch the original" to a 4 or 5-year-old, but his first time seeing The Lion King in any form was the live action remake, and it was so funny to me, just that different such it was such a different experience, and like you said, it wasn't as good as the animated one none of them really are. Like, it just feels kind of pointless to me. Do you have any other points you would like to make about FernGully?
I didn't know smoke could look so provocative.
I guess when the smoke is Tim Curry, we should have figured.
I guess, I don't know.
I've seen Rocky Horror. I know what's up.
Hmm, fair. Yeah.
When you're thinking of him in Clue, it's not quite the same.
Yeah, yeah, no. No.
Did FernGully hold up for you?
Yeah, I think so. I don't remember a lot of it until it was happening, I guess, because 'cause it's been such a long time, which is funny because I remember watching it a lot. It's like, how could I forget these things? But I think I just
Yeah.
remember some of the more funny moments. Not the song so much. You would figure that's kind
Mhm.
of typically, at least maybe in Disney songs, they stand out more in the film. You remember them more. We did our Disney Renaissance episode and we talked about the songs a lot. This one didn't
Yes.
really, the songs didn't grab me as much.
Yeah, the songs to me really aren't that memorable, which is funny because they do have big names on the soundtrack. They obviously had Tone Loc. They had
Hmm.
Elton John on one of the songs, on the soundtrack at least. But yeah, I also did not remember much of it going into this rewatch, but I think outside of the songs, nothing really feels dated to where
Mm,
I couldn't enjoy it now. Like, I think, well, and when I say the songs feel dated, it's really mostly that one love song, that cheesy love song
that
feels
was pretty
very
cheesy.
of a time. It feels very early 90s, but I mean, my son loved it. So,
Good. Yeah,
yep,
on this rewatch, I liked it. It didn't feel stale.
right.
I was maybe surprised with myself that it wasn't as, what's the thing I'm thinking of here? It didn't give me like the same feelings when we rewatched Aladdin, for example.
Mm.
Can't say why, but I still think I liked it now. I still think it holds up. Besides maybe like the horny rocket pocket part, but I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't bother me for some reason. I don't know. It's just silly, I guess.
Well, I don't think any of the weird lyrics bothered me because I didn't even catch them as a child
Exactly.
or an adult.
Yeah, they kind of go right under the radar.
Yeah. I've literally learned about them from like other people or articles I read, and I was like, really? I was taking notes, and usually that causes me to catch more things, but never mind.
Yeah, and even
All
like
right.
the animation, I felt like that style held up. It didn't look
Mm-hmm.
old or dated.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. We would love to hear your thoughts on Fern Gully, The Last Rainforest, as well as your own favorite summer movies. You can find us on Instagram at Back Through the Lens Pod and on Facebook at Back Through the Lens. You can also email us at backthroughthelenspodcast@gmail.com. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please leave us a rating and review. It's the best way to support our show. And you can now watch us on YouTube at Lucky Card Productions. We'll link everything in our show notes.
If you enjoyed our show today, please give us a like and follow for updates on new and future episodes. Our show is produced by our hosts, Rachel Campbell, and myself, Joe Sielmick, with additional help and support from Peter Tellup of LPV Productions. Peter, Rachel, and I are also the executive producers. Our awesome logo is brought to you by Tom Fracci, and our wonderful theme song is by Matt Tarek. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more trips into our movie watching past on Back Through the Lens.
But like you said, the two guys, like the two employees.
I'm sorry. I
What?
went to, I went to Google search. Got curious. Do kangaroos live in the rainforest? I put do Kang. I didn't get to type the rest out. The first thing that pops down as a suggestion is do kangaroos have 3 vaginas? Why is that something I need to search? What?
Well, there must be something weird about their vaginas if that's
Click. Let's see here. Yes, they have three separate vaginas and two uteruses. Okay.